Let's look at some examples of information that can be used to reduce risk of GBV in your programming, and that comes from household level interviews. These are interviews that happen inside or just outside a dwelling, and one member of the household usually answers, and very likely you will have other members of the household being present during the interview, which already suggests that it's probably not the right way of getting information about household level violence and GBV in the family. It might even put people at risk if we ask such questions. So what can we do with that? Well, there are information we can get, for example, of vulnerable members of the family, for example, people with disabilities, or vulnerable households, female-headed households or child-headed households. And we know that these are families and individuals at higher risk of GBV. So that's already very important information we can get. We can also get information around the access, the use, and the awareness of basic goods and services. For example, food security of the household is an important indication of an increased risk of GBV. We can get information about the perception of the family where in the location or the site some members of the family might not be safe and might be under the threat of gender-based violence. We can also get information around, for example, internal partition of the dwelling, which is a factor that does increase or can increase the risk of GBV. There are other information we can get. We can get proxy indicators, for example, for risk of GBV for children, when we try to identify whether children are in school or not, or they are engaged in harmful activities that could increase the risk for GBV. We can, of course, understand better through a household level interview the awareness and the use of specific GBV services or protection services. All this information can be used by GBV and sectoral colleagues in different sectors: food security, shelter, WASH, CCCM, NFIs, and so on, to reduce the risk of GBV through their programming by identifying and then addressing those factors that increase the risk.